Welcome sa ating channel. We are here again to talk about another budget cooler recommendation. So meron tayo dito the Deepcool Gammaxx 400 XT White. Before, I have already talked about this cooler or featured this with some previous build. Pero ngayon, mas mag-uusap tayo on how it will perform pagdating sa mga budget cooler lineup. So there are now a lot of coolers that you can see at Shopee and Lazada. But sometimes if you are not yet familiar what's a good or branded coolers are, then you should know that Deepcool is one of those go-to coolers back then before dumating yung mga rip-off or some just random budget, no brand CPU coolers. Pero sometimes we forgot that there are still budget coolers out there that are really manufactured according to standards and merong inaalagang reputation that they should always release a good one. Now let's cut it there, and for more videos like this, feel free to subscribe.
This video is brought to you by SIGURADO, the best website that you may visit in terms of very affordable deals and best offer para sa application softwares, games, and yes, operating system. And there you are, you may check the Windows 10 Pro, and by using our promo code, ma-avail mo lang siya ng around $14.95 or 700 plus pesos. That's it mga kaibigan. Check the description below. May mga links po tayo dyan to go directly sa kanilang website.
Okay, so let's start by talking about Deepcool Gammaxx 400 XT White. Meron itong variant na black. So as of now, ang meron po ako is the white one. So same lang din naman po sa black. Ang pinagkaiba lang is kulay. So it will be applicable yung benchmark natin if black or white yung hinahanap nyong Gammaxx 400 XT. Or if you have the classic 400 XT variant, it will just be the same. So just look at the parts. So meron po siyang 4 heat pipes and direct contact po siya sa CPU. So same pa rin po, walang nagbabago. So if they will release another one na Deepcool Gammaxx 400 XT, kadalasan ang nagbabago lang po dyan is yung kanyang fans. So ang meron po tayong variant ngayon is the ARGB variant, and meron na po siyang cover dito sa taas. So yung mga previous is kadalasan wala pong cover sa taas or walang shroud, and kadalasan din po non-RGB or RGB variant lang. Pero same pa rin po ang kanyang heatsink. Most likely yung kanyang design pagdating sa kanyang CPU block almost the same pa rin. Pero try to observe, if hindi man po, just check na dapat ito is 4 heat pipes and direct contact po siya sa CPU. So mapapansin nyo ang direct contact sa CPU is yung heat pipes mismo naka-expose if you are looking at the bottom side ng CPU cooler. So, ayun, hindi na tayo masyadong magpaligoy-ligoy. If you want to know how we gather the data, benchmarks, all of our CPU coolers, meron po siyang dedicated na video na pwede nyo pong i-check pagdating sa testing methodology for the sake of transparency. Kung paano natin nakuha yung mga numbers, paano natin in-execute itong benchmark, i-check nyo po yan sa ating link below. This is done, as I may say it again, para diretso na po kagad tayo sa ating main topic about the CPU cooler na Deepcool Gammaxx 400 XT. How will it perform compared to those budget CPU coolers in Shopee and Lazada? And here is the first graph. So looking at the first graph, it is just an 80 watts CPU load. So makipapansin nyo dyan na kumbaga merong edge yung mga budget CPU coolers. We are not also using the full potential neto, and this is up to 180 watts TDP. So ibig sabihin this can handle more compared to those. Or I'm not so sure because those are not rated or wala silang specific numbers of ano yung max TDP nila. Pero this one or standard sa mga branded ones is ine-indicate po nila, and this is 180 watts. Anyway, we will not go that far. Especially that, kumbaga, yung ganyang number is just for basis, and since magkakaiba nga po ang ating mga ambient temperature, so sometimes that is a case to case. Kumbaga, depende po sa situation. And with us, that we are with a 30 degrees Celsius standard ambient temperature, pero ayun nga, as we have observed, kung mas mataas na yung load or kung ilalabas na natin ang full potential ng all coolers sa ating listahan, especially the budget CPU coolers, mapapansin natin ngayon na sobrang laki na ng lamang, or dito na mag-stand out talaga ang ating Deepcool Gammaxx 400 XT as really a very good cooler, or it's really far from those. Kumbaga sa pricing, mapapansin natin that it's maybe higher by 100 pesos or 200 pesos, pero that price difference will be nothing kung ang pinag-uusapan na natin dito is around 5 degrees Celsius, 2 degrees Celsius, or 3 degrees Celsius. How much more if we are now dealing with CPU temperature that is 85 degrees Celsius, and pag yun ang ginamit mo, that is now around 90 degrees Celsius na kumbaga nasusunog na yung CPU mo nang hindi mo nalalaman. And still, Deepcool Gammaxx 400 XT is yes, kumbaga max status na kumbaga kailangan nyo nang i-maintain yung ganung temperature, pero at least this CPU cooler can still handle the CPU while with those coolers nag-overheat na yung ating CPU. It's different if we are talking about point something decimals difference. If there is a 2 degrees to 5 degrees difference, kumbaga sobrang laki na yun. They are now at a disadvantage position, not anymore on par or almost the same kasi it's just decimal numbers. And that's 5 degrees difference is hindi na yun kumbaga something that you may consider na di okay lang, mas mura pa rin naman to ng 200 pesos. The 200 pesos may kill your CPU over time. So if that's the cost na mamamatay or masisira na yung CPU mo, why not settle down with branded ones? Especially that pagdating sa reliability, pagdating din sa acoustics, of course, this may stand out more at 100 watts. And makikita nyo po dyan sa ating graphs that this is really way better CPU cooler over those budget ones. I'm not trying to discourage you if you are using an i3 or a Ryzen 3 or Athlon or Pentium and you want a third-party CPU cooler, maybe you can consider these CPU coolers. Pero if you are dealing with more or higher CPUs like Ryzen 5 or Ryzen 3 and then in the future you have plans na mag-upgrade, or if you want to really have your Ryzen 3 or i3 or i5 processors at a kumbaga very safe condition na there's no chance that it will overheat in the future, or if the temperatures of your ambient increases, hindi talaga siya maapektuhan na mag-overheat yung CPU mo, then settle down with CPU coolers that will give you a lot of allowance. Maybe you may think na kaya naman itong CPU cooler ko kasi up to 80 degrees Celsius lang naman yung temperature ko and nahahandle naman niya. How about if the scenario is nag-increase yung ambient mo, yung temperature ng room mo to 40 degrees Celsius from 30 degrees Celsius? Then that will be a bit relative dun sa mismong CPU temperature mo. Aabot din siya ng 90 degrees Celsius. And that is already overheating. 85 overheating na nga yun eh. Then how much more if 90 degrees Celsius? Kung hindi man masusunog yung CPU mo, over time, masisira at masisira siya. Remember, the higher the temperature, the shorter the lifespan of any electronic device. So, if you have this Gammaxx 400 XT and may maintain ka niya sa 60 to 70 degrees Celsius, then you are in the safe zone. Na kahit mag-increase yung temperature, siguro, tosta ka na rin naman siguro kung habot ng 50 degrees Celsius ang ambient room temperature. Then, that is not anymore, kumbaga, reasonable situation. Pero, at least, if it may increase by 10 degrees Celsius yung room temperature mo, then, if that 60 degrees Celsius na nahahandle ng Gammaxx 400 XT may just increase up to 70 to 80, we are still in the safe side ng CPU temperature. So, that's what I'm trying to imply or gusto kong sabihin sa inyo pagdating sa pagpili ng CPU or ng budget CPU coolers. Budget CPU coolers doesn't mean na dahil mura, okay na. You need to also check the reviews, the benchmark. Mura ba pero functional or working? Or baka naman mura pero mapapamura ka in the end. So, as long as it's working, it's good. Pero, yes, we will have a separate discussion about those budget CPU coolers in the future. Medyo dadagdagan ko lang muna yung mga iba pang CPU coolers sa ating listahan for us to have a broader or kumbaga more focus sa mga budget CPU cooling system yung ipapakita nating benchmark in the future. For now, this is just about how good is a Deepcool Gammaxx 400 XT compared to those budget CPU coolers or new players in the market, at the same time alongside with those mainstream AIOs and CPU air coolers that are at a bit pricey or kumbaga mas kilala na sa ating IT market. Now with that being said, and for more videos and recommendations about budget CPU coolers or any budget IT components, feel free to subscribe.